What's up, guys? Steven here again. This is Steven's Comics number 2, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to check out this video. I appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to some people that I think you should check out as well. Some other YouTube channels like Lightning2288, Mercenaut, ETANick, Carnage Man 99, PhillyKutsProduction, Jimmy C. There's some other ones. There's actually a ton of channels that you need to just type in Comic Haul or Comic Collection. Any of those things involving comics on YouTube are awesome to watch, and that's how I spend a lot of my free time when I'm not reading these. Alrighty, this first issue I'm going to show just came out a couple months ago. This is Avengers Operation Hydra. It's got a new story, but it also reprints Avengers 16, where Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Hawkeye join the team. It's a pretty sweet cover too, I think. It's one of the better ones from those early issues. And back to more Avengers. Here is Avengers 134, which begins the origin of Vision. This whole line here with the Avengers from 134 through 140 is one of my favorite storylines. You get to see a lot of Ultron. You also get to see Iron Man with a nose on his faceplate, so that's always cool. There's also some stories about Mantis in there as well. And you get to see one of my favorite X-Men join the team. Here's Beast. Beast was a great Avenger. I mean, if there's anybody from the X-Men who is a great Avenger, it's Beast. I know a lot of people like Wolverine on there, some people like Storm, but Beast was one of the smarter X-Men who I felt just made sense to be a member of the Avengers there. Alright, this one's 137. This is actually, I think, when he officially joins the team right here is 137. 138. 139. Another great issue with Iron Man's nose in that faceplate. And out of all the movies that I think they're going to be doing, there's some storylines through here that could come up for sure. And this is 140. Just some great Vision stories, his origin story, of course. Alright. And from Avengers, let's go to something more new. This here is Southern Bastards from Jason Aaron and Jason Latour. Out of all the indie books, this is the one that I want to read most. I can't wait till it comes out every month. It's not a superhero story, but it is a hero story. It's more about standing up for what's right, not letting your hometown be taken over. There's also talks of an FX pilot and whatnot, and even if that doesn't go through, you know what, you still need to pick up these. At least I recommend it. This is issue number 10. This is the latest issue that just came out. This is the Death to the Flag variant cover. They did a charity event with this issue where all the proceeds were going to the victims of the South Carolina shooting. So I thought that was really cool. I also follow Jason Latour on Facebook, and he posts a ton of great stuff too. It's just he's an interesting writer, an interesting artist. So, and he also posts a lot of his work that he's working on as well. So if you want to follow him on Facebook, that's fun to watch too. To more indies, we've got a Black Mask comic. Black Mask is hitting it out of the ballpark right now, I think. This is The Disciples, written by Steve Niles. Wes Craven, before he had passed, his company had been working on possibly bringing this to other media. I'm not sure if it was TV or movie, but this is also another one that I think is a good story, whether or not it reaches the next level. It's a space horror, so if you're into that kind of thing, or even if you're not, I recommend you try it out. the art is something different as well. So, and it also, of course, with today's standards, comes out with a ton of variants. This here is the Rick City variant. This one is pretty sweet. They're all based on Wes Craven movies. This here is obviously the Nightmare on Elm Street one. And this one is actually my favorite variant from it. Oops, let's set that back up. This one is the Beach Ball variant, I want to say. Yeah, I think this came out from Beach Ball Comics. You can find these all over eBay, or at least you could. And they range from anywhere from $10 to $30, depending on the day. Alright. Let's get to my favorite team, the X-Men. This one is X-Men and Spider-Man. This one it came out pretty recently, but it discusses everything that was going on through the Mutant Massacre story, and obviously this Spider-Man Clone Wars story. This is issue number 2. It's a nice read though, and I think the art in it is what really drew me to the story. And it features Spider-Man, X-Men, and throughout the years, like issue 1 was original X-Men, issue 2 was kind of like 80s X-Men, issue 3 here is 90s X-Men, and issue 4 is the kind of the Joss Whedon X-Men of the early 2000s. And to some more X-Men with their co-stars, or however you want to look at it. This one's X-Men and the Micronauts. John Byrne's baby. I don't have the rest of this series, but I have read it. But I do need to pick up the rest of it, because the Micronauts are an underutilized story that could be told, and there's a lot more that can come from that. This one's X-Men and Alpha Flight, which is also John Byrne, actually, I believe. And this one was just a 2-issue limited series. Here's number 2. Here's one that I think could have had a movie made out of it. Oops. These things are useless. I got this thing from Walmart, if you're wondering. It's supposed to be like a picture display, but if you were in a thunderstorm, it would fall over. Anyways, this one is X-Men and Fantastic Four. Most of these issues you can get from your local comic shop for about $2 a piece. I'm pretty sure they printed about 1 million of them. But these are a great Franklin Richards story. So if you don't know much about Franklin Richards, this is a comic that you could jump right into, and I think you would enjoy. It's a weird take on Dr. Doom infiltrating Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Number 3. This also features an X-Men team of the 80s where things had just changed. Magneto, I believe, had just, or was just about to join, or he had just joined. But obviously there's no Cyclops, no Nightcrawler, no Colossus, those kind of things. Havoc was in the team, Dazzler, Rogue. Here's issue number 4. If you don't know about Franklin Richards, though, he is one hell of a powerful mutant. Son of Sue Richards and Reed Richards, obviously. And there's a lot that they could be doing with him, too, in the movie universe. I believe his first appearance, or his birth, was in a Fantastic Four annual, I can't remember now, maybe 6 or 8 or 4, one of those early ones. And to some more X-Men. This is X versus A, if you will. This is X-Men versus the Avengers. This is kind of dealing with the events right after X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 200, Trial of Magneto. there's a couple different teams, the Avengers, and then there's a Russian team that are all pissed off, and they all want to take down Magneto for his crimes versus humanity. It also features that weird purple Magneto costume. I mean, I don't know what the heck they were thinking. Just not classic Magneto to me, but the story in these are pretty good. And they're a quick read, and you don't really need to know much of the backstory. You can just pick up these limited series and enjoy. There's a cool Cap versus Wolverine cover. Here's X-Men versus the Avengers #4. The Judgment of Magneto. Yeah. I don't know. It was also an interesting time for the Avengers. You had Captain Marvel and Dr. Druid and a different Thor. I mean, that's not your typical Thor right there. That was a stand-in Thor for right then. And from X versus A, might as well go to AVX, Avengers versus X-Men. Now, this is a series that I think could also come back up if Marvel and Fox ever got their heads out of their asses. They could tell a great story here involving Scarlet Witch, Hope Summers, the Phoenix Power. I mean, there's just a lot of elements that were building up to this that would work very well on film. There's Zero. This is #1. There's 1,000+ variants for all of these too, so I prefer the original covers to these. I do have a couple of the variants, obviously Team X-Men variants, because I think the X-Men are a million times better than the Avengers. I don't know if I'll get hate for that, but this is issue #2. These are also issues that you can still probably find in your local comic shop. Even if you have to pick up second, third printings, I recommend it because it's a fun read. This one, I think, is going to be one of those classic covers that might come. I work with a lot of children, and I already see some kids wearing t-shirts with this on it. I didn't even know they had that, but I think that's another cool Wolverine Captain America cover. Here's issue #4. And if you don't know anything about Hope Summers, this is also a great place to pick up on that. She's from the future, but she's one hell of a powerful mutant as well, just like Franklin Richards. Round #5. This is when Phoenix Power started infiltrating into the story some more. Here's #6. I also like that they all got new costumes for this. I'm not sure why Phoenix decides that your wardrobe needs to change. But you got Cyclops, Emma Frost, Colossus, Namor, and Magic all gaining the power of the Phoenix. And from there, shit just kind of goes nuts. I won't give you any spoilers, but obviously from here led into Uncanny Avengers like I talked about in my first video. There was also a lot of tie-ins to this series too. There was AVX, there was A+X, there was AVX Consequences. I think there's some what-ifs involving AVX. They're all kind of money-grabbing schemes, but you really only need to pick up AVX, maybe Consequences as well, if you want to have the bridge the gap between that and the Marvel Now series. Here's issue #9, cool Spidey cover. Issue 10. This is also where people started really hating Cyclops. I mean, people hated him from what I read. People always hate him because he's kind of a dull character. He's my favorite superhero, but people believe he's a dull character. But this is when he kind of started being a douchebag and almost began his mutants versus everybody else ideas, his revolution, if you will. This also obviously led into the events of Uncanny Avengers, or Uncanny X-Men Volume 3. Round 11. And the final one for this series is round 12. Alrighty. Let's jump ahead a little bit to Amazing X-Men. This is a Jason Aaron series. This brings back another amazing mutant, Nightcrawler. If you didn't know, Nightcrawler had sacrificed himself and had passed away and was hanging out up in heaven, but some Bamfs had started roaming around the Jean Grey school, and in this, I think it's the first 5 issues from this series, a team consisting of like Firestar, Wolverine, Beast, Storm, Namor, or no, not Namor, Northstar, sorry. They, and Iceman, they needed to go out into heaven and rescue Nightcrawler as Azazel began his path of destruction of taking over heaven and hell. So, pretty cool series. This is the Deadpool variant for that. Deadpool seems to have a variant for every comic. I don't know. I didn't know that Nightcrawler and Deadpool shared that much of a history, but apparently Deadpool's happy to have him back as well. And out of that, Chris Claremont, began a 12-issue series of Nightcrawler. This is a series that it needed a volume 2. Chris Claremont, while his stories, they do drag a little bit because he tells you everything that's going on in each little panel, I think that's a cool thing sometimes. I really enjoy the X-Men 94 up through, 296 of Claremont's run, I want to say. Because of all that detail, you don't need to guess what's going on. You're given your money's worth, let's put it that way. Older comics, you could sit there and read for a good half an hour, where if I pick up even Amazing X-Men, while I love it, I mean, I can run through this series, I could read 5 issues probably in a half an hour, where with a Claremont book, you get your money's worth. Each it's like he's paid by the letter almost. Alrighty, so that was Chris Claremont Nightcrawler series, and this will be the final book I'll show. This is X-Men 94. This is also actually signed by Chris Claremont on either the front page or somewhere inside of there. I can't remember. I don't need to drag it out because I'll just damage it more than it is. It's probably, I don't know, it's got some wear to it. Not too much though, and I got it for a very good price. This book, it fluctuates in price all the time. I've seen some copies obviously go for almost $1,000. This one, I want to say I only paid $225, which I thought was a good deal. I found it through Atomic Avenue. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend Atomic Avenue because there's a lot of times where you'll spend a little time putting some comics into your cart only to get an email the next day from a seller saying, nope, I actually don't have those for sale, which wasted my time and wasted their time for having to write me the email. I don't know why they couldn't just update their inventory, but that's a different topic. X-Men, all new, all different. This is my favorite series. This is, when I was younger, my father picked me up a reprint of Giant Size X-Men, which also, I want to say, it had X-Men 94 through 99 is also in there. And I fell in love with the team. I mean, Cyclops, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Storm, Banshee even, who's in it through, I want to say, 124, 125. They're a really cool team. Their elements mix well together. There's angst, there's fear, there's strength, there's bravery, and there's Chris Claremont telling what I think are classic stories. I think if any comic is going to stand the test of time, it's the stories from Chris Claremont, There are really great modern stories coming out, obviously. Southern Bastards, stuff from Black Mask. Not so much a lot of the Marvel stuff. I mean, I'll pick up a few comics here come October, but not really. If anything, I'm actually probably going to drop a lot of things and focus my energies on picking up back issues. I do have the X-Men run through 296, I want to say, the whole Claremont run. But there's not much other X-Men stories after that that I feel are really worth even $1. I do have Marvel Unlimited, so you can read them, but it's not, I don't know, it's not even worth the time. If you're gonna focus your energies on anything, focus them on the Claremont run. Thank you for checking out Steven's Comics #2, and if you can find this issue anywhere, pick it up because it is pretty rare. I know Chris Claremont told a story where he had a whole box of these, I want to say 300 of them that were destroyed in his basement. So, and he jokes saying, well, now your prices just went up for X-Men 94. Alrighty, this is also obviously the first appearance of the team within the regular X-Men continuity, not counting Giant Size X-Men. So, there is that. Anyways, once again, thank you for checking out Steven's Comics, and have a great day.